Good afternoon, my name is Min Jung. Thank you all for coming. Today I'm going to be talking about my life living as a colorblind person. And to start that story, we obviously have to look at my mom. So my mom is a very special person. She's that special 0.64% of the whole population, a female colorblind. And because of this fact, she has this particular sets of skills, you can say special ability. God ensured her that every son she gives birth to will be a colorblind person. And realizing this special opportunity, she gave birth to 3 sons and no daughters. So practically everyone in this photo right now is a colorblind person, except for my dad right there, who feels very lonely because of that fact. So that's where my story starts, as a colorblind person. And when I reveal this fact to many of the people, the reaction is very, very similar, even though there may be differences. They're first mind blown by the idea that they're looking at this person or a character they only read about in the novel Giver. I hope you guys all read the book. And then there comes the endless stream of questions. It's all color related, and they're very stupid and simple questions that you would never ask to a normal person. So it's just like Jeopardy, but the difficulty is very, very easy, and the category we only have is color. So today I'm going to be sharing some of that stupid questions that I got from my friends. Hey Sangmin, do you see the letter A? I see the letter A. What's the color of the A? White. Good job. Now do you see the background? Well, I saw the letter A, so I see the background. What's the color of the background? Black. Colorblind people can see white and black. That's the whole point. Okay, chill out. Now let's step things a bit. Like increase the difficulty. Do you see the crayon? Oh, I see the crayon. What's the color of this red crayon? Those were the questions that I got from my peers, starting from my elementary school, even in KMLA. But when I got these stupid questions when I was a kid, I actually enjoyed them. I felt like I was the center of the crowd. Everyone was asking me questions and I gave the answers. Like I had the solution to a problem that no one knew about. Sometimes I even got questions wrong intentionally so I can get the attention. Sangmin, what's the color of the square? And I would proudly say red, and everyone will clap saying that this guy really knows his color. And I would be like, thank you all so much. And that was my childhood. I guess all kids like attention, and that was the case for me as well. However, as I grew older and my peers got older, I started to notice some differences within these questions. The wordings themselves were the same, obviously, and the smiles that we had were very much similar. But there was this slight sense of sarcasm within these questions, and I seem to be the only one who noticed these differences. So let me give you an example with the most sarcastic question, but also the most wittiest question I got from my friends. Do you know the color of an apple? It seems like an innocent question, but if you imagine a friend asking that question to a colorblind friend who does not know red and green, and with a smirk on his face, you start to realize the implications and the intention behind these questions. And when I get these a bit of sarcastic questions, I feel the emotion of frustration and sometimes anger. And I could lash out. For this question, I could answer, well, according to my knowledge, there are red apples and green apples, and sometimes I even see white apples. So if you ask me, do you know what color of an apple is, I don't know what the heck you're saying. I could say that. But when it comes to these color-related questions, I don't show my anger. I feel those emotions, don't mistake me, but I never express them in a way like everyone does. I'm sort of like a monk when it comes to these kind of questions. Why? Well, let's start with the reason of why I feel these emotions in the first place. So from my perspective, it is clear that they're not seeing this world from my perspective, my colorless view, and they're only enjoying their own colorful world. And they might be saying, you just don't know red and green. You might have problems with street lights, but that's it, right? No problem. Why are you being so sensitive? And it's true that colorblindness doesn't affect me greatly and daily to daily basis. But they fail to realize the implication of living in this world as a colorblind person. For example, in the past, it would have been very hard for me to become a doctor in South Korea because there were limitations on colorblind people becoming a doctor. Thankfully, that limitations were uplifted in great amount. But I face the similar limitations when I'm trying to become a policeman or a pilot because I cannot read these numbers. I still don't know what's written on that PPT. Another example. We always get these basic elementary math problems. How many red balls are there in this sack? It's a very elementary problem, but I cannot solve this problem because I cannot recognize the color of these squares. These balls, sorry. And when I get these questions, I must ask for help from a friend who is sitting next beside me or sitting beside me. I mean, it's easy asking for help, but they don't realize that slight sense of embarrassment that comes when a friend kind of smiles or laughs when he tries to give me the help. So going back to the friends who are asking me these kind of questions, it is clear that they're arrogant from my perspective. They're stuck in their privileged worlds, not seeing my colorless world. But why don't I lash out? Because I see myself doing the same thing if I were in their shoes. If I was not a colorblind person, if I saw the red and greens, I see myself asking the same question to a colorblind friend with the same wording, same emotion, same smile on my face. So for me, it's a very awkward position, as I clearly imagine myself doing the same thing in this hypothetical world. But as I pondered on this issue more and more, I realized that I was not free from this sin simply because I was a colorblind person. In other areas, in other fields, I was very susceptible to becoming the criminal that I didn't really like. For example, living in an Asian country as an Asian, gender or sex, or other physical disabilities that I don't have. Within these areas, I am that privileged person in the real world, not in the hypotheticals. And ponder on this issue led me to think about those past actions that I did insensitively and without knowing about the other person's perspective. And those words that I threw around and the actions that I did. And let me give you an example. You must have noticed by now that I'm a man, which means I have XY chromosome causing my color blindness. But the implication that comes from this fact is that I don't know what it feels like to be catcalled when you go outside. I do not know what it feels like to worry about what to wear, how to wear, what to say, and how to say it. You can say that living in this sexist world as a male, that privilege protected me from these harms and these pain that people go through. But you can also say that that fact that I'm a male barred me and stopped me from sympathizing completely or understanding completely the pain that half of the population is going through right now. And you can say that the fact that I'm a male sort of blinded my perspective toward the world in certain ways. And the thing about blindness that comes from privileges is that you really don't have to know about it. You can just live on with your life without knowing that you have a blind spot in your perspective and go on with your life. And maybe you may reach the top if you're a lucky person. But even when you reach the top, you don't have to acknowledge that you may have done something wrong in the past, or that your perspective is just one out of many in this world. So for me, the word feminism is a reminder that what may be normal for me every day and every night, and what I enjoy daily, might not be the same case for other people. And that the moment I try to forget this fact, I'm very prone to becoming this, and susceptible to becoming the criminal of this society that I never wanted to be, and without my knowing or intention. Feminism is a voluntary discomfort by acknowledging the fact that you may have done something wrong and you have benefited, and the group that you belong in benefited from this society because of the privilege that was given to you, not earned. Why do I do this? Because the process of becoming a criminal does not come from your activeness or your motivation to become one. It comes from your passiveness. It comes from your inaction. It comes from your attempt to ignore certain facts and ideas to lessen the burden in your mind. And I see that ignorance that you're trying to practice every day is very prone to becoming arrogance tomorrow. And I notice those kind of suspicious and weird looks that I get from my friends when I say this. They say, why? Why do you do this? Like, are you really doing because of the motivation that you're saying, or are you just doing to get girls? And regardless of those atmosphere that is forcing me to act in a certain way, and the stream that is telling me this is the right path, I feel it will be responsibility and the duty to do otherwise. And I know what some of you might be thinking right now. So, I mean, just because you had some friend who made fun of your colorblindness, now you know all about feminism, how to treat the minorities, and not offending people. Is that what you're saying? I mean, what gives you the right? Is your past so clear and pure that you have the right and even the authority to profess these words to these audience in TEDx event? And my answer to them is that that's not what I'm saying. I messed up in the past, and I still mess up today. And I was, and very likely am, a blind person within this society. And I see that my past actions may have caused harm, and I made some mistakes. So for me, personally, this TED Talk represents an apology for those people whom I have caused pain to, but I never got the chance to give my apology. And with this platform, I say I'm sorry, hoping that these words may lessen the pain even the tiniest bit, but knowing that I may be hoping for too much. And for other people, this is an encouragement. This is an encouragement for you to get out of that comfort zone. It is an encouragement for you to acknowledge that you made some mistakes in the past and that your perspective is not perfect. It's just one out of many. Well, yeah, encouragement. I understand that you're going to meet some discouragement to do so from your peers and the group that you belong in. But yourself, and at least I will know that you're doing the right thing. And I'm not saying that we should just shut up and do nothing, because anything we can say or may kind of attack another person and cause pain to them. I'm not saying that. Even after this TED Talk, you can ask me about colors if you want to. But I hope that question is not motivated by your ignorance or arrogance or the fact that you're enjoying this colorful world and I'm not. I hope that questions are motivated by your fascination or your attempt to understand another person's perspective that you never imagined having. So I end my speech saying thank you and sorry, and I hope you do the same. Thank you.